Have you ever found that your world is unraveling only to discover that it's a part of a profound inner healing? In my last video, I spoke about the dark night of the soul. In this video, we're going to talk about transformative healing, 10 different ways that you can heal during your dark night of the soul and your spiritual awakening. Hi, my name is Michelle Fondon. I'm the author of 11 published books, including The Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda, an easy guide to a healthy lifestyle, and Chakra Healing for Vibrant Energy, exploring your 7 energy centers with mindfulness, yoga, and Ayurveda. All of my published books are available on Amazon. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications, and thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. I do tarot and astrology readings. I also teach meditation. You can find all those links below in the description box. Welcome to my series on your spiritual awakening journey, which is really exploring your inner world, the transformative effects of the 10 different types of healing during your dark night of the soul. If you have ever gone through a dark night of the soul, or you're currently moving through the dark night of the soul, I'll post that video right there, the one that I just published right before this video, so that you can check that out after this video, or you can pause this video, open up a new tab, watch the Dark Night of the Soul video first, and then come back to this one. You know, if you've been on the spiritual journey for any amount of time, that it comes accompanied with different types of healing. Another thing I did speak about in another one of my videos, which I'll post right here, is that it's not your job to make it a job to do all of the healing modalities. That is not your job. The ones that I will outline here are for your self-discovery, for you to understand what resonates with you at this particular moment in your healing journey. For those of you that have been following me for quite some time, you know I have had at least 3 to 4 major spiritual awakenings in my life. Yes, 3 to 4 major spiritual awakenings in my life. And so I know what I'm talking about. I've written books on healing, and most of my books are really around the topic of mind, body, spirit, basically the topic of healing. So we're going to move through these transformative phases of healing. They may not all resonate with you, or they may not all resonate with you right now. But the important thing is to understand and know the different phases of healing that you may move through. And if you're stuck at some point feeling that the dark night of the soul is not letting up, that it's really got you in its grips, maybe you can take one of these 10 aspects of healing and it might resonate at the time that you're viewing this video. And I would say save the video so you can go back to these 10 types of healing. So if you're at another phase in your spiritual journey, that you can always go back and maybe take a look at these other types of healing. First of all, let's just discover why we need to heal. So basically, we are uncovering the layers of the old self. In my book, Heal Yourself, A Return to Wholeness, the integration of body, mind, soul, and spirit, I talk about the layers of the self. So we are uncovering the layers of the self so that the soul, the individual soul, can be more readily revealed. And so the healing is not to torture you. The healing is not to say you're a bad person. The healing is there so that you can uncover the layers that are hiding the light. The light is always there. Your light is omnipresent. It has never, ever left you. It's just that through our life experiences, we have covered up that light. So these different types of healing are going to help you to uncover those layers, to get rid of the layers that are no longer useful, so that you can more quickly access your inner light. The first type of healing is inner child healing. I had never heard of this term inner child healing until about 5 years ago, when I was in the midst of my twin flame journey. This is a relatively new term in mainstream society. I had studied psychology. I still had never heard the term inner child healing. Inner child healing is basically looking at the wounds accumulated throughout your childhood. So for example, if you have a knee-jerk reaction to a specific thing and you really don't understand why you continue to have a wound surrounding that specific thing, a knee-jerk reaction, something that makes you angry, fearful, frustrated, any negative emotion that is attached to a specific thing. It could be a word, a situation, an experience, or a person. But you know that when it comes, you can't help yourself. You go into negativity. That is typically an inner child wound. And usually what happens is the age where that trauma, that situation was recorded and then left unresolved is the age you need to go back to and reenact the play, reenact the scene. Talk to the child within at that specific age and ask the inner child, your inner child, how they perceived what happened. And then what you're going to do to get yourself out of it is to gently parent yourself back into a place of healing. So the memory changes. And once the memory is able to change, then the healing can commence. So that in your future, when that trigger point happens, you're no longer going to have the same reaction. In my book, The Empowered Divine Feminine, I go through a scenario to help you move through this process. The second type of healing is called past life clearing. Again, this is relatively new to me within the last 5 years or so. And you can do this through many different avenues. You can do it through hypnosis, self-hypnosis. You can do it through past life regression with someone who can do it with you, or through the Akashic records. Past life healing or clearing is going to help you understand the bridging the gap between this lifetime and previous lifetimes. Whether or not you believe in reincarnation, which the soul does travel through time and space, whether or not you believe in it, looking at past, not overanalyzing it, not judging it, but giving it a voice can help you move forward. So through past life healing, what you're doing is bridging the gap between leftover problems from past lives, whether this is a soul contract, past karma, a past relationship with someone that you're currently in a relationship with, because relationships repeat themselves. We meet the same people in different bodies. We meet the same souls. We journey with the same souls. So past life regression, getting someone to read your Akashic records, or doing past life revealing through hypnosis, self-hypnosis, meditation, deep meditation, it can really help you to resolve those things that are unresolved from past lives. Number 3 is healing inner core wounds. The inner core wounds are usually patterned from our upbringing. What does this mean? It means that those are the types of wounds that bring us low self-esteem, or that keep us in low self-esteem or low self-worth. So for example, when I was growing up, my mother always used to tell me a story of how I was very clumsy, how I used to fall over and trip over my own feet all the time. That story was perpetuated over and over and over. And I had a tendency to adopt it as my own, even though it wasn't necessarily true. That was her perception of who I was as a child. And since she had repeated it to me, I took it on. And I did things like fall down the stairs and break my tailbone twice, not just once, but twice. And I never had confidence in myself when it came to team sports, even to today, because I had this in the back of my mind that I'm clumsy, I'm uncoordinated. And so by healing an inner core wound, you can erase the damage that has been done by addressing it, analyzing it, and seeing if it's actually true. Because a lot of the core wounds we have about ourselves, our self-worth, our self-esteem aren't necessarily even true. Most of them aren't true. So when you can address those, you can move forward, uncovering that layer so that you don't have to repeat those self-limiting beliefs. The number 4 type of healing is mother and father wounds. Speaking of mother wounds, mother and father wounds, this is a huge one. Now, I'm going to put a little red flag here, little red flag. Modern psychology, modern therapeutic techniques have a tendency, while valuable, I'm not saying modern therapy is not valuable. I believe it has value. But a lot of different techniques through different therapists, they want you to keep talking about the mother and father wounds over and over and over again and rehashing them again and again and again and again. From a spiritual standpoint, what you want to do when you uncover a mother wound or a father wound, for example, a father wound could be my father abandoned me when I was 3, and therefore, my father did not abandon me when I was 3. But as an example, my father abandoned me when I was 3, and therefore I believe that all men will abandon me. That's a father wound. That's an example of a father wound. Or my mother always chose my sister over me, or felt that she was more beautiful or worthy than me. Therefore, I feel unworthy. So when we look at the connection to the mother or father wounds, we also have self-limiting beliefs surrounding those. And so by exploring them, looking into them, we can also parent ourselves back to health, because now we're adults. We no longer need to blame our parents for our shortcomings. That's just not what this is about. And that's where I believe there's a discord between healing on a spiritual level and what usually happens when you're in therapy. When you're in therapy, it's more about uncovering it, reliving it, trying to forgive the other person, maybe talking to the other person. And when you do it by spiritual means, you're understanding that everybody is a human being, everybody makes mistakes, that your parents were probably coming from a good place, even if they didn't know how to do things, and that you are an adult now. And so you can take full responsibility for your actions, your words, your deeds, your wounds. And we no longer have to blame our parents for certain things. We forgive them, but we forgive them from a compassionate spiritual standpoint. It doesn't make what they did okay. It's just saying, I'm bigger, more mature, and I know better now. So it's a really good way to release. And a lot of times the mother and father wounds that really hold us back big time. Number 5 is shadow work. We talk about the shadow work. Again, this is something that I didn't quite understand until a few years ago, even though I had been doing it. So what is the shadow side? Do you know people, this may be you, who ignore negative emotions? The positive ones, yay! But when a negative emotion comes, they stuff it down, they put it in a closet, they want to deal with it later, they don't want to address it. They push it under the rug. So shadow work is really addressing your shadow side, addressing the darker side of you. Now, the darker side of you is not bad. People make it out to be bad, but it's not bad. So even the fact of like loving sex sometimes gets pushed into the shadows, right? Because you're not supposed to love sex, you're supposed to like it. And maybe with a dedicated partner, and that's the only acceptable way that you can do that, right? And so any other thing surrounding the taboo topic of sex, it gets pushed under the rug. And so then it becomes a shadow. It becomes a shadow because whatever is suppressed tends to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so that is what a shadow work does. It helps you to uncover it, make it more acceptable. I'm going to give you another example. Anger. In today's modern society, anger is very frowned upon. Anger is a normal human response and human emotion. And so every time you get angry, if someone says, that's inappropriate, don't get angry, then you push it under the rug and that becomes your shadow. And so when you do shadow work, you're just addressing those types of things that you've been keeping hidden, pushed under the rug, not bringing it out into the light. And for something like anger, if you say, well, sometimes anger is actually good and appropriate and helps me get clarity on what I want, need, and desire. And maybe anger helps me to help someone get back into the appropriate place when I'm setting a boundary. Maybe that anger is justified. And so now, as you give it a voice, anger is no longer a shadow. Number 7 is one I am the least familiar with. So I'm saying that now because if I don't talk a lot about it, it's because I haven't really done this type of work and I'm just the least familiar with it. So number 7 is ancestral healing. So it is continued patterns through lineages. I can give you an example right now. For example, if your great-great-grandmother believed that you needed to save everything just in case there was a drought or a depression or whatever, financial devastation or a divorce or someone died. And then that mindset was passed along through the generations. You have to save everything. You can't throw anything out. You have to save everything. You can't throw everything out. And everybody from great-great-great-great-grandmother to great-great-great-great-grandmother all the way through to you, that is an ancestral wound, right? Because it wasn't your wound. You didn't come up with this idea, but it's something that's been passed down through the generations in your family line. And sometimes we adopt these unconsciously. We don't even know. And there could be ancestral lineage wounds that we adopt that we don't even know where it came from. It may not have even come from your mother or father, but it may have been several generations ago. So when you do ancestral healing work, it can help you to uncover kind of in the same way that past life regression, Akashic record healing, those types of things could help you. Number 8 is one that I am the most familiar with, and that is physical body healing. It's something that I write about all the time. The reason I presented the Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda is because when I was healing my body after cancer treatment when I was 28, I was able to do it through the ancient medical science of Ayurveda, which is mind, body, spirit medicine from India. I was able to do that. And I continue to use the principles of Ayurveda today. You can heal through yoga asana movement, which is in my upcoming book, The 8 Limbs of Yoga for Modern Times. You can heal the body through movement like Tai Chi, Qigong, even dance, anything that physically moves the body in a positive way, but also mind-body connection to the food that we eat, for example. I believe wholeheartedly, I teach and preach this every day, that the body is the temple that houses your soul, and that if you ignore your body on a spiritual journey, or on any journey for that matter, but on the spiritual journey, that's what we're talking about here. If you ignore your body and feed it garbage and live a sedentary life, it's going to be very difficult for you to move through other aspects of healing and succeed, because the body is so integrated with who you are. It's a response system. So really, the physical body you carry today is a response system to your emotions. It's a response to your life experiences and the traumas and the wounds and all of that. It's also a response to the good things that you take in through memories and impressions. If you ignore the physical body, it's not going to go so well for you. So the physical body is an integral part of the whole. Paying attention to it, healing it through food, movement, meditation, exercise, whatever, right? You know the drill. is going to be one of the greatest ways that you nurture yourself through your dark night of the soul. Another one I'm very familiar with is number 9, energetic clearing. We have an energy body. In Sanskrit, it is called prana, maya, kosha. I wrote about it in several of my books. In my upcoming book, The 8 Limbs of Yoga for Modern Times, I really talk about the healing through the energetic body as well. So when we think about our energetic field, we have a tendency to pick up energy from everything around us. Doing healing modalities like chakra clearing, Reiki healing, or even energy movement. I mentioned Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga. Doing sound bath meditations can help your energetic body. Really pay attention to how you're feeling at the end of your workday, for example. You can do energy healing through crystals and stones and incense. So there are many, many ways in which you can heal your body energetically. And those are great to explore during the dark night of the soul and your spiritual awakening process. Finally, number 10, heart chakra healing. I love that. We got to heal the heart. The heart is the center of yourself. Most people, if you say point to yourself, where do they point? Think about it for a minute and then I'll tell you. When they say point to yourself, where do you point? Do you point here? Most people point here. Where are they pointing to? They're pointing to their heart. Your heart is at the center of it all. Your heart has an innate intelligence that goes far beyond the brain. You know, the heart beats first in a fetus before the brain is even developed. The heart has this innate intelligence, and by healing the heart, you open yourself up to the world of unconditional love, which is really the way you get to the higher spiritual self, is through unconditional love. First for yourself, and then letting it shine out toward others and the universe. One thing to note, however, don't get too caught up in the process of healing. That is so important. We can get very goal-oriented in our Western mindset for most of us. And when you're on the pathway to healing, it's not linear. It's never linear. It's always a jumbled mess. I will tell you that right now. I see this with myself. I see it with my clients. It's always a jumbled mess. Layers are uncovered. And as you uncover those layers, other layers become uncovered. Approach your healing with fascination and curiosity. That is a much better way to look at it, because things will come up when they are ready to come up. If you want to take an active role, by all means, take an active role. But if you're tired on your spiritual journey, if you're weary, if you feel like, gosh, I've been trying to heal everything, then stop. Stop and let the healing come to you, because it will when you're ready to receive it. So take it easy. Enjoy your spiritual journey and this period of growth, because it is about the process and not the outcome, I assure you. And even if you're 10 years deep into your spiritual experience, more healing is always coming your way. And it's just a better, deeper, newer discovery into who you are. I hope this was helpful for you. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with others who you know are on this spiritual journey. Thank you so much for your support of my YouTube channel. You can buy one of my 11, almost 12 published books. You can join my meditation course on demand online, and I will see you in the next video.